live via satellite from Hollywood and San Francisco. It's Rockline, the show where you interview the hottest stars in rock and roll. Hello again, I'm Bob Coburn. Rockline is brought to you in part by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Levi Strauss & Company, makers of 501 jeans. Tonight, Rockline is an evening with all 5 members of Def Leppard. Def Leppard is at 97.3 The Rocker in San Francisco. I'm here in our Hollywood Rockline studio. So get your questions ready and call us toll-free in the U.S. and Canada. 1-800-344-ROCK. That's 1-800-344-7625. One number toll-free from anywhere in North America. For Def Leppard, the journey from pyromania to hysteria was 4 long, hard years, but they came through intact and have created one of their best albums yet. We're now going to say hello to 3 members of the band. The guitarist, Phil Collen, and Steve Clark will join us in about 45 minutes or so. Right now, it's a pleasure for Rockline to welcome from Def Leppard, Rick Allen. Rick, welcome to the Rockline.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you here. Also with you, vocalist Joe Elliott. Joe, welcome to Rockline.
Hello.
And Rick Savage, the bass player for Def Leppard. Rich, hello there. Rick, welcome to Rockline.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you guys had virtually everything imaginable happen to you in the last 4 years, as we'll discuss tonight. But during that time, you also managed to record a lot of material beyond what's on the album. Now, I guess that the B-sides of all your singles will be non-album material. Is that correct?
That's very true, actually. Yeah, we had a lot of songs left over from the Hysteria sessions. And we thought, well, instead of just wasting them, let's get them recorded and give people that do buy singles extra tracks. So it basically meant that we didn't have to put out on B-sides songs off the album, really.
We're going to try and play one of those a little bit later this evening, as a matter of fact. How many extra songs were recorded? Does anyone recollect?
This is Joe. I think about 8.
Yeah, about 7 or 8. Yeah.
Ooh, really?
Some of them aren't all finished, but there's 8 songs in varying degrees of finished stage, from like totally done to maybe just the backing track. But now, the songs are there.
The album was produced by Mutt Lange. I guess some of these extra songs you produced instead of producing with Mutt. Is that correct?
All of them are produced.
All of them, really?
Yeah, all the B-sides are Def Leppard productions.
So if you're a Def Leppard fan, you have a lot of material to look forward to as the singles are released in this album. This is not a B-side, however. This is Animal, Def Leppard on Rockline. Animal by Def Leppard on Rockline. I'm Bob Coburn. Right now we are with 3 members of the band. The guitar players will be on a little bit later. We're going to take our first phone call right now from Sikeston, Missouri, as we talk to Mike, listening to KGMO and Cape Girardeau. Mike, you're on the Rockline.
Welcome back to America, guys.
Great, thanks. Nice to be here.
Okay, my question's for Joe Elliott. When you take into consideration Rick's accident and some of the other bad luck Def Leppard's had during the last 4 years, weren't you afraid that something might go wrong in the Animal video, knowing that the guy was going to be throwing knives at you?
Yep. If you look carefully at my face, you can tell that's exactly what I was thinking. No, I watched the guy practice for about 20 minutes, and then I was, everybody was saying, go on, do it, and I said, no, I don't think I can. So eventually I said, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, so I stood in front of the board, and it's actually, there's a slight amount of trick photography involved. The camera's at the right-hand side. He was throwing the knives at the right-hand side, so they looked closer than they were. They were actually about 8 inches wide of my body when they were going in. But once he'd done it and I saw how good he was, I actually wanted to redo it. Stood a bit nearer the knives, but the video director said, no, this is good enough. So.
Yeah.
So I got away with it.
What would have been good enough for me? Yeah, that's fine. That's a take.
Yeah, really.
Thanks for starting us off there, Mike. We appreciate it. We'll take a brief time out, return in just one moment. We're just getting started with Def Leppard. Your number to call is toll-free from anywhere in North America. It's 1-800-344-ROCK. You're listening to Rockline. Welcome back to Rockline. I'm Bob Coburn. It's an evening with Def Leppard. We go back to the telephone now. Our phone call from this time around is from Denver, Colorado. It's Ken listening to 106.7 KAZY. Good evening, Ken.
Hi, how are you doing, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
First of all, before I get to my question, I'd just like to say hi to my good friends, Brandon, Laura, Charisma, and Studley Jason. And thank you. I had a question regarding the release of Hysteria.
I read a story in Hit Parader magazine recently, and they reported since you guys were taking a lot of time recording the album, that Polygram Records gave you an ultimatum, so you would be forced to give them the final tapes for the album by a certain time. And I'd like to know, one, if that's true, and two, if it isn't true, what Polygram Records' attitude was towards your recording style of striving for perfection and not really worrying about how long it took to actually finish the album.
Well, to be quite honest, I wouldn't believe anything you read in Hit Parader. They invent our interviews. My good friend Andy Session will tell you all about that if you ever speak to him. As regards the ultimatum, we never had an ultimatum from Phonogram. They basically let us go in the studio. We locked the door. They knew when we eventually did get in there with Mutt Lang, that would be around about the time where they would be getting worried, because we'd spent around about a year in the studio by the time he joined the project. We just shut the door, went in and did it, and working with a producer like Mutt, you know that you're going to get good products at the end of the day, and I think that they were happy enough with that. So they were just more interested in the fact that, you know, it would be a good album. But I don't think they were particularly pushy about when they got it.
There you are, Ken. Rockline sets the record straight for you on that issue, and we appreciate your call. Call us again sometime. Let's speak with Sarah now in Boston, listening to WAAF. Good evening, Sarah.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hello.
My question's for Rick. I was wondering, since you got the new drum kit made and everything, have you had any problems on tour with it?
Just one or two problems. Mainly when we were back at the beginning of the English tour. We were actually playing in our hometown in Sheffield, and my drum kit sort of went south a few times. It completely cut out, and that was pretty embarrassing, you know. I had to do a sort of cymbal solo, you know, which didn't go down too well with the band. But there have been a few problems, but nothing that the Def Leppard crew can't deal with.
When Rick's kit goes down, I have to go down the mic.
Little improvisation there, Sarah. Thanks for your call. Let's talk now with Lori in Minneapolis, listening to 92 KQRS. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hi, Lori.
Hello.
How does your set vary from country to country?
I'm sorry?
How does the set vary from country to country?
Hi, Laura. This is Rick Savage. It doesn't actually vary that much if you're talking about the actual songs we play, because we get a general amount of songs that we hammer into shape, and we more or less keep it the same no matter where we play.
There you go, Lori. Thank you for your call. We're going to play some rock and roll ourselves right now by Def Leppard as we go back to the Pyromania album. This one is Rock of Ages on Rockline. From Pyromania, Def Leppard, that is Rock of Ages and Rockline. I'm Bob Coburn. A couple of quick concert dates for Def Leppard, all in the month of December. The first in Tacoma, Washington. The second, Pullman, Washington. The third, Portland, Oregon. And the fifth, you'll find the band in Salt Lake City, followed by a performance in Omaha on the 8th and Tulsa, Oklahoma on the 9th. Back to the phones we go now to the southeast, pretty far southeast, in fact, down to Miami. A listener of 97 GTR wants to talk with Def Leppard. His name is Ryan. Good evening.
Yeah, hi guys, how's it going?
How are you, mate?
Pretty good. Listen, on behalf of my friends Roman, Kathy, and myself, we'd like to welcome you December 29th to the Hollywood Sportatorium. Looking forward to it.
Great, so are we. Thank you.
Great. Now, my question is about all the audio and video bootlegs that are circulated about the band, you know, the illegal live recordings. Will you guys ever release a live album that'll just put all the inferior bootlegs to shame?
This is Joe. We may release a live album one day, but we don't plan on doing it at the moment. It seems to us that when we were growing up and buying records and listening to other bands, they always seem to put out a double live album after 4 studio albums. And having been a band that's always done things arse end upwards, basically, we decided that we didn't want to do that kind of thing. So we will probably put an album out one day, but it'll probably be something like a quadruple album. 14-inch disc, and it'll be in about 10 years' time. We've got no plans at the moment to do a live album.
There you go. Thank you for your call, Ryan. We appreciate it, and call us again sometime. If you just tuned in, we're with Def Leppard. They are at 97.3 The Rocker in San Francisco. From the band right now, we have Rick Allen, Joe Elliott, and Rick Savage. Since we have two Ricks on, Rick Savage says call him Sav. That's what the band calls him anyway. And we'll be joined a little bit later by the two guitar players, Phil and Steve. That'll be about a half hour from now, something like that. We move now to Vancouver, British Columbia, as we talk to Gary, listening to CFOX FM 99. Gary, you're on the Rockline.
Hi, Bob. Hi, guys.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hello, mate.
I have I have one question for Joe Elliott tonight. Joe, are you there?
I'm here.
Well, I bought your album about a month or so ago, and I was reading an article in our paper in Vancouver from the Los Angeles Times, and after reading it, I decided to ask you a question. The question is this: do you feel that relying on Mutt Lange, which has been producing a couple of your albums, even the 1981 album of yours, do you feel relying on him has either hurt your band, or how do you feel about that? Do you feel that he's hurt your band, or with writing and the amount of time that you've taken between albums?
I wouldn't think so, because as soon as we started working with Mutt, the band got popular, and the first album we did with Tom Allen was okay. The next album, High and Dry, was better and more commercially successful, and then Pyromania really cleaned up in '83. So it did the extreme opposite, I would think. All it did was bring the band out. He sits in a room with us and brings out the best in everybody in the band, from songwriting to performance. The fact is that he is a very finicky kind of guy, and he likes to get things perfect. So doing that kind of recording does take a long time. And he's been a perfectionist for a long time, and he's taught us to try and be perfectionists in what we do. So it's always going to take a long time when you get 6 people together that work that way. But the last album sold 7 million copies. This one's on its way. So I don't really think it's hurt us. And as for the songwriting thing, it's more like an arrangement thing, really.
Kind of hard to argue with that kind of success. Good question, though, Gary. Thanks, and we'll talk to you again, I'm sure. We're going to speak with Brandon now in San Antonio. He's listening to KISS, and he's on the Rockline. Hi, Brandon.
How y'all doing?
Hi, Gary.
Not bad.
How are you?
First of all, my mom made me promise I'd say hi to y'all.
Hi, Mom.
Every time she hears Rock of Ages, so I promised I'd say hi.
Right, you got a rock and roll mother.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But anyways, when the song titles for Hysteria were first released, me and my friend Ken, who you just talked to in Denver, we saw that there was Fractured Love and Rings of Fire on it instead of Rocket and Pour Some Sugar on Me. And I was wondering, why did you take those songs off and replace it with Rocket and Pour Some Sugar on Me, and are they going to become B-sides someday?
Hi, this is Sav. To answer your first question, we ended up being in the studio for so long that it becomes inevitable that throughout that period you do write new songs. And it got to a stage where we did have about 16 or 17 songs, and we had to try and narrow it down to put them on the finished record. And it was just a band decision that the songs that we'd just written got preference over Ring of Fire and Fractured Love. But to answer your second question, they are finished songs, and they are going to be used as probably B-sides. Definitely Ring of Fire will probably be a B-side. And I'm sure you'll hear of Fractured Love in the future anyway, because they're finished recordings, and you'll get to hear them one way or another.
So look forward to that, Brandon. We will take a time out and return with Def Leppard in just one moment. We have the title track from the new album and a whole lot more this evening on Rockline. Your number to call is toll-free from anywhere in North America, 1-800-344-ROCK. We're talking rock and roll on Rockline.
This is Steven Tyler of Aerosmith on the Rockline.
Thank you, Stephen, one of our previous guests on Rockline. Have a couple of more concert dates to pass on quickly for Def Leppard. Kansas City, Missouri on the 10th of December, the 12th, Houston, the 13th, Dallas. The band will be in New Orleans on the 15th and Birmingham, Alabama on the 16th of December. Got the title track from the latest one now. What a great song this is. Hysteria on Rockline. On the Rockline compact disc player Hysteria by Def Leppard. We're spending an evening with Def Leppard tonight. We're going to go back to the phones now to Joliet, Illinois this time, a listener of 96.7 LLI. It's Tracy. Tracy, you're on with Def Leppard.
Hi, guys. How are ya?
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
I basically have a couple questions for you. First of all, I want to say I saw you in Chicago, and I thought your lighting show was excellent. It was one of the best I've ever seen.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And getting to the question, if you all could jam with anybody on stage live, whom would you want it to be? And would that be the same band that helped, influence you in the past as a group or, growing up?
That's a good question, actually, Tracy. This is Sav. The answer would probably differ to whoever you talk to in the band. Personally, it's always been an ambition of mine to play with Brian May from Queen. Unfortunately, on the last English tour we did 3 nights at Hammersmith Odeon in London, and on the last night he came and we actually played Now I'm Here, an old Queen song. So that would be my favourite. I'm sure Joe and Rick have probably got loads of other people.
Yeah, Ian Hunter. He's my idol. Or Robert Plant, maybe.
No, this is Rick. I actually got a real kick out of being on stage with Brian May as well, because they were sort of one of my first sort of bands that I listened to. So that was quite special for me as well.
A legendary band and a great guitarist. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, but I think now, we've kind of reached that stage where I think we're all quite happy being who we are on stage,
I would imagine so at this point.
Compared to somebody else.
We're with Rick and Joe from the band right now. Phil and Steve will join us in just a few minutes. Thank you, Tracy, for your call. Let's talk to Ray now. Ray is in Calgary, listening to Kick FM 107. Good evening.
Hi there.
Hi, Ray.
Hi,
Hello.
Ray.
How you doing? Hey, listen, first off, I want to tell you guys that I think you're producing probably the greatest music of our generation right now. It's really, really nice.
Well, that's a pretty heavy compliment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Yeah, it's really hot. Hey, listen, I got a couple questions for you here. The first one was I noticed since, your EP and Get Your Rocks Off, etc., all the way through to Hysteria, that your production is becoming more complicated with each album. I was wondering if that was going to continue, if the level was going to keep rising, or if you were going to reach some kind of medium and, keep your production at a constant. And also, I was wondering, have you heard from Pete Willis and if he's doing anything these days?
This is Joe. First question. It's a difficult one to answer because production techniques at the moment, the way that we listen to Hysteria, as of the day we left the studio, we didn't think it would be possible for us to ever better the production that we've just achieved. But I dare say, when we go back in the studio to do a follow-up to Hysteria, it will be a couple of years later, and there'll be extra things in the studio that we can play with, and we may involve those in the production side of things. At the same time, we may also go in the studio and say, sod it, let's just make a real basic 10-day album, and and do something that sounds like the first Montrose record or something like that. We don't know. At this moment in time, we're on tour, and that's all we're thinking about. We'll worry about production of records the day we walk into the studio to try and record one again.
There you go, Ray. Did you have a second question?
Yeah, I was going to ask about Pete Willis, if you guys still keep in touch.
Yeah.
Pete came to see us at both the Sheffield shows when we did the English tour. And he's looking a lot better than he did when he left the band, put it that way. He's off drink, which was his major problem. And I know it sounds like an old cliche, but he's trying to get a band together. And, we just wish him all the best, really.
Ray, thank you for your call, and we wish him good luck as well here at Rockline. We're going to talk with Shannon now in Austin, Texas, listening to KOBJ FM 94. Hi, Shannon.
Hi. I want to ask Joe if he writes all his lyrics or if the other members of the band get involved in it.
The best idea always wins. I suppose I'm involved in most lyric writing, but I don't actually write everything. Sometimes I sit down with Mutt and we do things. On Hysteria, for example, I think Sav and Phil came up with it up until at least the chorus. the first verse and the bridge, and Steve and Phil were involved in, say, on Don't Shoot Shotgun, for example. And me and Sav wrote the lyrics for Fractured Love, which you've yet to hear yet. You may do one day. So it's kind of... I obviously am involved to a certain extent because I have to sing them, and certain words don't sound good coming out of my mouth. So, it helps if I'm there when lyrics are being put together. But I by no means write everything that we do.
Shannon, thanks for your call. We're going to play some rock and roll by Def Leppard now. Let's go back to the album High and Dry. Everything is on our compact disc player tonight, by the way. This is Bringing On the Heartbreak by Def Leppard on Rockline. Bringing On the Heartbreak by Def Leppard on Rockline from High and Dry. I'm Bob Coburn. Glad to have you listening this evening. Your number to call is toll-free from anywhere in North America, 1-800-344-ROCK. We have a call now from Jacksonville, North Carolina. We're going to talk to Michael. He's listening to 105 FM WXQR. Hi there.
Hi there, Bob, Rick, Joe, and Sav. Welcome.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Michael.
How you doing? Welcome back to the good old US of A.
Thank you.
Nice to be here, man.
I know my buddy Ron in all of North Carolina looks forward to seeing you the 19th at the Greensboro show. I tell you, we can't wait. My question is, what element did you think that producer Jim Steinman would bring to the band? And is the rumor true? Did Mutt really recommend him?
This is Sav. It's a good question, actually. Is when we finally realised that Mutt initially wasn't going to work on the Hysteria record, it was at such short notice that we really didn't have much choice as far as extra producers go. We went to certain people and they were all booked up because they get booked up within for 6 months ahead. And we were kind of stuck, and we thought the great thing about Jim Steinman would be his musical input, because he's written reasonable songs in the past. He's had a lot of success, a couple of number ones with various people, and we thought that input would be very good for us at that particular time. But it became apparent pretty quickly as we started working in the studio that we were just totally mismatched, and we just totally had different ideas on how to record actual records. And so it kind of went downhill from there on.
There you are, Michael. Thank you for your call and a good answer for you there. We're going to move on now to Valparaiso, Indiana, and we're going to talk to Norma, listening to the Loop FM 98 in Chicago. Hi, Norma.
Hi. How y'all doing?
Hi.
Hello.
I'd like to talk to Joe Elliott.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fine.
Good.
I'd like to know if you guys are going to release a home video for the Hysteria album.
What, do you mean like a compilation of the videos for the singles?
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. As long as we've got the videos, they're always there to put together, maybe an hour-long tape or so. We haven't done it yet because up until the beginning of this record, we didn't really have enough material to warrant a tape, and I think 30-minute tapes are a little bit bogus for the amount of money they cost. So if we are going to do one, we'll probably wait until later on, towards the end of next year maybe, or towards the end of the tour, so we can put one together which is like an equivalent in the album in the sense of value for money.
Sounds good to me. Norma, thank you for your call. That's something else to look forward to from the band. It's Bob's turn. He's in Gainesville, Florida, listening to Rock 104. Hi.
What's happening, guys?
Hi, Bob.
All right.
Well,
Everyone here at the University of Florida says keep rocking and party like a gator.
We'll try.
My first question is in regard to the album First Strike. Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a hold of it a couple years ago. I think it's damn good, and I was wondering why the band had it legally pulled off the market in 1985.
Well, I would say you were unlucky enough to get hold of a copy myself. We find it slightly embarrassing because it represents the band before we got a record deal. It's from 1978. It's before we knew what we were really doing. And the thing that really annoyed us the most was that our ex-management, which were responsible for the record, remixed it. And the mixes that we did all those years ago were far better than the ones they did. If it had been the original mixes, it wouldn't have been so bad. But they really bodged it up badly, and we didn't want that coming out as an official record after Pyromania, because, as you can imagine, technically and every other aspect of it, it's pretty much inferior to Pyromania.
There you are, Bob. Do you have a second question?
Yes, I do. I was wondering if the band has any suggestions on how I and other faithful Leppard fans can get hold of other such limited material that's unavailable, like in just local stores.
I don't know. if it's available, you should be able to get it. If it's unavailable, as in bootleg material, then you're just going to have to search like I do for all my Led Zeppelin ones.
For some people, part of the fun is collecting them and actually trying to acquire them and whatnot. So look around, Bob, and do the best you can. We're going to let the two Ricks have a break in just a moment, and the guitar players from Def Leppard will join us momentarily, and Joe Elliott's going to stay in the booth. And Rick and Sav, I want you to come back toward the end of the show, if you would, please.
No problem
at all. I have a question for Rick Allen before you leave, and that is, with the accident that took place, I guess it's quite a few years ago now, you've really retrained yourself as a drummer. Do you think you're a better drummer now than before?
There are obviously things that I can never play like how I used to play, but what I play now, I have to think a little bit more about, which is kind of tough also, thinking. But I don't know. I think that my meter and a lot of aspects of my playing are better than what they used to be. So I'm quite happy with the way things are going at the moment. It's just the equipment that sometimes lets me down.
Rick Allen, thank you, and Rick Savage, too. Talk to you guys toward the end of the program. In a moment, we will continue on Rockline with Joe Elliott, Steve Clark, and Phil Collin from Def Leppard. It's an evening with Def Leppard in progress. Your number to call is toll-free from anywhere in North America, 1-800-344-ROCK. We're talking rock and roll on Rockline. Welcome back to Rockline. It's an evening with Def Leppard. I'm Bob Coburn. Joe Elliott pointed out to me that we didn't answer one of the questions. I probably didn't allow the band to. Did Mutt Lange recommend Jim Steinman? What's the answer in that, Joe?
No, he didn't, actually. Jim Steinman was recommended by one of our managers, a guy called Cliff Bernstein, who suggested that out of the possible producers that we could use, he was probably the best. As it turned out, maybe the best of a bad bunch, but... He was a nice guy, but he just didn't work as a producer. But Mutt certainly didn't recommend him.
We're going to play some rock and roll by Def Leppard, and then we will welcome Phil Collin and Steve Clark to the show. This is Women on Rockline. Women by Def Leppard on Rockline from the album Hysteria, their latest. I'm Bob Coburn. We have Joe Elliott still with us. We want to take a moment now and welcome Steve Clark, one of the guitarists to Rockline. Steve, good evening and welcome.
Oh, how you doing?
Doing fine. And also with you, Phil Collin. Phil, welcome to Rockline.
Hello.
Nice to have you here. Let's go back to the phones and find out what people have on their mind tonight. From Rochester, New York, it's Tiger, listening to 96 WCMF. Good evening, Tiger.
Hi. I was wondering why you decided in your concerts to do your stage showing around.
This is Joe. It was a suggestion made to us by our New York-based manager called Peter Mensch, whose religion we will keep quiet, who suggested we stick it in the middle because we could sell more tickets. No, seriously, we wanted to do it differently on this tour. We'd played at one end on the Pyromania tour, and when we were selling out like in big arenas, there was a vast amount of seats that couldn't see anything, and it used to really annoy us. The PA would be blocking the sights, and they'd be selling tickets behind, so people would be looking at our backs all the time. So we figured if we put it in the middle, we cut down maybe 3,000 bad seats to maybe 300, if that many, and it would bring all the nosebleeds, as they call them, which is the seats right up at the top, a little bit nearer. In fact, everybody's, at least 50% nearer than they would normally be. And we get 4 front rows to play with. So it makes us work harder, and it just makes for a better show, really. And from what we can gather, it's probably the first rock band to play in the round.
There you go, Tiger. Thank you for your call. We appreciate it and glad you enjoyed the show. It's Jen's turn. Jen is in Columbus, Ohio, listening to QFM 96, and she's on the Rockline now. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
This question is for Joe. I was wondering what the purpose was in having the audience sing "Bringing on the Heartbreak" to you while you and the band stood in silence, and you just kind of stood at the audience. I just wondered if it was for your benefit or for it was for ours, because I know the effect was really overpowering.
We basically it developed as the song got more well known, and as I suppose people say. I mean, it's difficult from my point of view to say it's a classic, but people tell us it's becoming a classic. More and more people in the shows know the words to it, and they sing along anyway. And we were doing one show, I think it was possibly Milwaukee or Chicago, where they were singing along so loud, and it just created such an effect on stage that I dropped out just to see how loud they were, and it worked really well. And they decided, as soon as I stopped, they sang twice as loud again, and nearly drowned the band out. So it's the kind of thing that we do now every night, because it works to good effect, and the crowd seem to enjoy singing it, and it just makes for a bit of play acting as well.
Sounds like it made an impression on Jen. And Jen, thanks for calling. We appreciate it. It's Dave's turn. Dave's in San Antonio. KISS is our station. You're on with Def Leppard, Dave.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Dave.
First of all, I saw y'all twice in 1983 and here in San Antonio recently, and you guys, I agree with that guy, you are the sound of the 80s. I really enjoy y'all's music, and what I want to ask is, how long are we going to have to wait till we get a new album and another concert?
Well, it's Phil here, if I can get a word in edgeways. I don't think we're going to spend so long this time in the studio. You know, we had a lot of problems recording Hysteria, and, you know, it's behind us now. And the next album will be a lot quicker, I should think.
There you go. And by the way, our caller's name was Dane and not Dave. And thank you for your call, Dane. We appreciate it. We're going to play the B-side of Women now. This is one of the songs produced by Def Leppard that did not appear on the album Hysteria. It's on the B-side of Women. It's called Tear It Down on Rockline. Tear It Down is the name of that, the B-side of Women. We're with Def Leppard this evening. We'll take a brief time out and return in a moment. Your number to call is toll-free from anywhere in North America. Only one number for the one and only Rockline. It's 1-800-344-ROCK. Welcome back to Rockline and our evening with Def Leppard. I'm Bob Coburn. Some more concert dates for the band. On the 18th of December, Atlanta. The 19th, Greensboro, North Carolina. The 20th, Charlotte, North Carolina. Jacksonville, Florida on the 27th. Little Christmas break there. The 29th, Hollywood, Florida. And Orlando, Florida on the 30th. And Tampa, the 31st. Back to the phones we go now to Hayward, California. We're going to talk to Melissa, listening to 97.3 The Rocker in San Francisco, which is where the band is located tonight. Melissa, welcome to the Rockline.
Hi. How you guys?
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Okay, my question is, I'd like to know if there are any more pictures like the one in the inner sleeve of the new album in the book that you can send away for.
Hi, this is Steve. Yeah, there's lots of pictures knocking around, and they'll all surface eventually. I don't know when, but there's loads of them knocking about, and they'll probably come out in the near future.
This is Joe. There's an alternative to the shot on the album in the book. It's the same wet, rainy shot. It's just from a different angle or whatever. A little bit more rainy even.
Oh, we got the kilt shot as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
There's the shot of Steve and Phil wearing kilts.
There's actually some shots in the programme, what you can
It's
get.
the book, isn't it? Yeah.
In the old programme we had in
right.
Phil and myself wearing kilts, so soaked to the skin. It's quite
We don't
funny.
usually do this.
There are some, I must add here, there are some classic photographs in the biography that's just come out. So if she wants to check it out, she'll find some good shots in there.
Now, the book is called Animal Instinct, and I guess the albums and the CDs and everything carry information on how to acquire the book. So
yeah,
they can look in the back there. Melissa, thanks for your call. Let's talk to Carl now. Carl is in Nashville, listening to 103 KDF. Hi there.
How you doing?
Hello, mate.
All right.
I just want to get directly to the question. I play guitar myself. This is directed towards Phil and Steve. I'd like to know what kind of guitars you use on and off the stage as far as live and studio, and what kind of effects you use.
This is Phil here. We basically use the same kind of backline and everything. We're using Randall amps and everything. We use different guitars. I use Jacksons, and Steve uses Les Pauls, you know, because, you know, whatever you prefer yourself, you know. But we're both using the same kind of backline, and it's all Randall stuff.
But this is Steve. But regarding being in the studio, it's anything that sounds right for the part, any guitar, any amp, any combination. So, but live, as Phil says, he plays Gibson. I play Gibson, and Phil plays Jackson.
He plays Jack. Right.
There you go, Carl. Anything else on your mind tonight, Carl?
Yeah. How do you guys, me and a friend of mine play guitar, and I'd like to know how you guys put together your music, because both things that you do are different, but they fit together. But they're both different, always. You never play the same thing at once.
Right, yeah, this is Phil again. Yeah, we make a point of doing that. We just make a point of trying to sound a bit different from everyone else. That's why there's stuff that, you know, that we both play different parts. But, I don't know how it comes about, but it always seems to fall into place.
Yeah, usually this is Steve, we just start off with a very basic track and then put the vocal on and then try and orchestrate the guitars around the vocal so they don't clash, so the guitar breaks fall in between the vocals, and then Phil will put a counter melody into what I'm doing or vice versa. It just comes very naturally, you don't really think about it too much.
Carl, thank you for your call, and good luck with your music. We're going to talk to Scott now. Scott is in Omaha listening to Z92, and he's on the Rockline now. Hey there.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello, mate. Not bad.
My question is, I guess it's mainly centered to Joe, but what inspired you guys to write Pour Some Sugar on Me?
Good question. Most of the, in fact, just about
bank balance.
No, every lyric we do is basically a fantasy thing. I never write songs about personal experience, and I always fancied writing a song that was kind of an 80s version of Honky Tonk Woman, lyrically, of course, not musically, and you can get the impression that the Honky Tonk Woman Jagger's singing about actually existed. He may have invented her. And the thing with Pour Some Sugar on Me, it's the same thing. It's just a very sexually orientated lyric, really. We had this real simple backbeat rhythm, and it just needed a real basic kind of Neanderthal approach to the vocal, which is exactly what we did. And we wanted to get a kind of a sexy song, if you want to, for want of a better phrase, that wasn't plain vulgar, like some of our stuff's been in the past. So it was a bit of a challenge to kind of do a sexy song that wasn't PG rated, you know.
Scott, thanks for your call. Let's pour some sugar on us right now in Rockline. Pour Some Sugar on Me, Def Leppard on Rockline. We'll take a brief time out and return in just one moment. Still time for you to call. We're live, so you can call now. 1-800-344-ROCK. It's Rockline.
Philadelphia wholesale distributors for your nearest Kendall retailer. 364-4200. That's 364-4200.
94 WYSP, Howard Stern all morning, and classic rock and roll all day.
And welcome back to Rockline on the Global Satellite Network in the evening with Def Leppard. I'm Bob Coburn. We now have all 5 members of the band in the studio, Rick and Phil and Steve and Joe and Sav. Our next call from Kingston, Pennsylvania. It's Kim, and Kim is listening to Rock 107 in Scranton. Good evening, Kim.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Kim.
Hi.
Oh, my God. I wanted to know... Wait, I have 2 quick questions. I want to know where you guys got, or what your nicknames mean on Hysteria, for everybody individually.
Long story.
Yeah, it would take us about 4 hours to tell you. They were just gathered over a 2-year period, basically, and they just stuck.
Lots of nicknames, too, that are listed there. And what else, Kim?
Do you think, I hate to ask this, and it's probably no, but do you think you could spare 2 backstage passes for anywhere near Pennsylvania?
Good try.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the...
No.
Let's not go too much further with that. Yeah. Kim, nice try. Thanks for calling to call us again. It's Whitney's turn. Whitney's in Atlanta listening to 96 Rock. Hi, Whitney.
Hi.
Hi, Whitney.
How you doing?
All right.
Not
Good.
bad.
Say, Sav, I love you. I want to have your baby.
What, right now?
All 5 of them, mate.
That would be a technical first, I think.
Oh, that's no problem. My question is about the backup vocals on Pyromania and Hysteria, and why did you have someone else do them, and why didn't you do them yourself?
I think, this is Sav, I think we should put the record straight, and each member in the band and the producer did all the backing vocals on both records. It's just that we decided, rather than put the old cliche of Phil Collins guitar and vocals, Steve Clark guitar and vocals, we just decided to invent silly names for basically the 5 members and the producer. And it was the Bankrupt Brothers on the last album, which is quite aptly named. And I forgot the Leppardettes
on Pyromania.
The Leppardettes on Pyromania, but it is basically the band.
There you are, Whitney. We set the record straight for you on Rockline on that one. And Whitney does get the backstage passes for... No, just kidding, Whitney. Thanks for the call.
Give me an heart.
We're going to talk to Ken now. Ken's in Rahway, New Jersey, listening to 92.3 K-Rock in New York. Ken, welcome back.
Thank you very much. You know, I love those Southern girls when they call this show, Bob.
Ooh la la, yeah.
Gentlemen, I want to just say that I really am impressed with the way you've come back from all your trials and tribulations. As a blind person, I know that a lot of people can't deal with that, and I really want to salute you for that. And I want to ask you, when all is said and done, without using the terms hard rock and heavy metal, the labels that those are, how would you describe Def Leppard? What is it about Def Leppard that makes Def Leppard Def Leppard?
Good question. This is Joe. I think the fact that you've got 5 individual personalities that are capable of working towards one goal, which is musical perfection with a bit of, in the hard rock vein, with a bit of balls, you know, but having the sense to use subtlety when it's needed and what have you. It's very much it's very much an organisation, this band, where we all just put in our little bit and we can talk about it, and there's no big fights or anything. It's pretty democratic the whole way we work. So there's a lot of patience needed, obviously, but you know, we're 5 individual people that work very well as a team.
Ken, thanks for the call, and call us again sometime. I know you will. 62 minutes of music on the album. You have
63, actually,
is it 63? You have overcome every obstacle imaginable, from Rick's accident to Joe losing his voice for a while. Then he got a case of the mumps. You switched producers. The producer, Mutt Lang, ends up in an auto accident with a knee injury. I mean, it's a litany of events that took place, and you've overcome it all, and you've created a great record, and all those extra B-sides and whatnot. Thanks for being here tonight. Good luck on the tour, and hit us with some more great rock and roll that only Def Leppard can provide.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, gentlemen. A pleasure indeed to have Rick Allen, Phil Collins, Steve Clark, Joe Elliott, and Rick Savage from Def Leppard on Rockline this evening. They've been live from San Francisco up in New York, and we appreciate all their help up there. In fact, let me thank everybody right now for listening and for calling. By the way, we're currently accepting your Christmas cards at P.O. Box 4383, Hollywood, California, 90078. Next week, we have Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart of Eurythmics, and then coming soon, it's Triumph, The Alarm, and a whole lot more as Rockline takes you into the holidays. Special thanks this evening to Chris Miller, John Louder, John McCrae, and the entire staff at 97.3 The Rocker in San Francisco for their help and expertise this evening. You've been listening to Rockline. I'm BC, and I'll be seeing you in a